working back there, that light? And so you just say for a second, because it takes a few seconds for people to show up. But they'll be here, even though we're a little late. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Okay.
It's my fault, because Yang-Yang was early.
Well, we played a real fun game.
I'm glad you liked that. We played King Domino with the Age of Giants expansion. We have one person!
Hey, yo! Hey, one person! Oh, that's the camera right there. Hey, one person!
Yes, we're using my laptop, my Kirby laptop camera. Let's see.
Greetings to you, Kendra and Eric.
Cool.
I like Kendra, even though we've never met.
Kendra's lovely. Actually, I don't remember if I've met Kendra. Except one.
Oh, you can watch me trying to master this fidget spinner. I've never used one before in my life. Yeah.
It's mesmerizing.
Is this how the kids do it?
We're up to 7. This seems like a good place to start. Why not? Okay. Hi, I am Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the Brimstone Angels saga, coming to you with another interview, prepping for Dungeon Scrawlers, our live stream game that starts on January 8th. I am here with Yang-Yang Wang, writer, actor, director, Renaissance man.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah. Yes, I am. That's right.
And we're going to talk about the game and his character and other stuff. We're just going to have a nice little chat. I hope. Did you have a nice holidays?
Oh, I did. Excellent holidays. Got a lot of board games. Got some video games.
Nice.
And I won my fantasy football championships. So that's a nice little triple-digit bonus for me for the holidays.
You know, I will tell you honestly, I don't understand fantasy football at all.
I would love to explain it to you sometime.
Probably not now.
Yeah, I think I would bore the stream. Let me tell you about football.
I feel like it's probably half people who are like, how do you not understand how fantasy football works? And half people are going, oh no, me neither. Please don't tell me.
All I want to say, I guess, for anybody who actually, does do fantasy football, is I picked both Lamar Jackson and Chris Godwin, and they just wrecked my league for the year in a good way.
All right, there you go. So we can start this. We've started this 2 ways: either tell me about your character or tell me about yourself. And at some point, you're going to have to do the other one. So you can pick which one to start with. You want to talk about you or talk about Stong?
I'll definitely talk about myself first.
Yeah.
Easy choice. So my name is Yang-Yang Wang. So currently I am a filmmaker and a commercial actor, a writer. I do some nonprofit work, and I get to play Dungeons and Dragons with lovely people such as Erin M. Evans and Eric Scott DeB. So my past history, how I got here, is I got a business.
Here's the question: who did you know? Did Steven bring you in, or did Eric bring you in? Steven. Okay.
Yeah. So I met Steven at a writer's group. I believe Steven mentioned this in his origin story.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
It's been a very busy week.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, so I actually met Steven in a meetup.com writers group for speculative fiction in North Seattle. And I got to read his first novel's early synthesis short story.
Oh.
Yeah. And from there, he's really taken it real far. Like what was just like a small short story has become like a full-blown novel. And I think he's planning like a trilogy.
Yeah, I think he said he was working on the 3rd book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really interesting to see that. I ran into Eric. Oh, I know Randy from Clarion West.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I go on vacations with him. I know his wife because she was my classmate at Clarion West.
Oh, cool.
Quick shout out to Christy.
Christy is lovely.
Henderson, Varenfakis, Johnson, Henderson. I tried. Yeah. So back during college, I got a degree in business, and so I worked out in the corporate world for 5 years. I was like a highly paid finance person, doing numbers stuff.
I didn't know any of this. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Your secret life as a businessman.
Not just any businessman, like a businessman for an evil, multinational energy conglomerate, right?
Oh dang!
But
you don't do things halfway, do you?
Young Yang-Yang was just getting out of school, and there were very few jobs, and even fewer jobs with nice paychecks. So, when you're young and you got some debts, you got some bills, But after 5 years, I took a look around, and at some point you could see like the next 35 years of your life with like some of the same people in the same space. And either you make the decision that, the paycheck is cushy enough and you could do it, or you don't. And so I didn't. And so I left. After that, wandered the world for a little bit. Then I was like, what else can I do? So just so happened, a friend of mine here had an agent looking for more people to represent. I auditioned for some stuff, got it, and did a bunch of commercials and made my first short film 2 years ago,
which I watched today. It is very it's a big tearjerker kind of film. I was gonna ask funny questions about it, and I was like, I can't actually. No, it's good.
Oh, thank you.
It's good. I don't want to make a joke about it.
The way I describe it to everybody is it's almost like a time travel story where it's about dementia, but it's about an elderly dad whose adult daughter returns to him after like decades away, and he's suffering. He's like trapped mentally in the night that she ran away when she was a teenager, and she comes back. She's forced to come back and take care of him, and then she gets to relive the events of that night from his side. But the problem is like it sort of occurs over and over. And if anybody like has dealt with anybody with dementia, there's no like resolution. So even though they have some steps, some progress, all of that is essentially like reset by the end of the day, or just like randomly. So it's a really hilarious, lighthearted comedy with the 0 laughs, 0 jokes. Yeah.
Not going to be in the most likely list because.
Yeah.
But
I did win a short film award for that though, so.
Well done.
Thank you.
So are there pieces of this that you put into Stong, your half-orc bard?
Oh. No.
Or is he totally different?
Totally different. No.
We find out secretly that Stong is a finance whiz.
Yeah.
Surprise!
None of that. I mean, I guess the only thing loosely is like the idea that you can transform yourself, and like it doesn't matter what degree that you get. It doesn't matter like what you've trained to be all your life, right? You can be anything. And that's
I see that. I was thinking about this today about like alignment, right? Because part of me was like thinking ahead because I get to go next in the hot seat. And inevitably someone's going to ask, how is Cecilia like Farida? Because they're both warlocks, right? And I'm like, well, Farida is neutral good and Cecilia is chaotic neutral. But the thing I don't like about alignment is it sort of posits that there's this immutable aspect of yourself, but that Cecilia is chaotic neutral right now doesn't necessarily mean that Cecilia in 5 years isn't going to go, whoa, this isn't who I want to be,
Yeah. I also find like the term chaotic itself is very like confusing, especially to people who like don't really play a lot of D&D or who aren't like familiar. Because like when I describe to my friends who are just like casual gamers and I say, oh, I'm chaotic good, they're like, wait, does that mean you're like evil and good? Like you're bad and good? Like
you run into random energy companies and pay people's bills for that.
Yeah, that's right. But I tend to think of chaos as being like more like individualistic. Like you just like follow your own code of whatever, and you don't like really give a hoot about like what everybody else says.
Yeah.
And that to me is not like I wouldn't describe somebody as chaotic.
Yeah. The one thing that with like novels that I did and that I encourage my authors to do is kind of to think about it in terms of like use one of the traditional alignment pieces and then think of a descriptive term, because one of those, it feels like for any given character, like one of those aspects is going to be more important. Like, am I doing the right thing, or am I following the rules, or am I saying screw the man? And then you take one of those and then you create another word that better typifies your character, exemplifies your character. So if Stong is, let's say, not chaotic good, but you get to pick one of those and then you need a new adjective. What is he?
Okay.
Chaotic friendly.
That's what I was thinking exactly. Like chaotic friendly. Friendly good? Probably chaotic friendly.
I feel like chaotic friendly.
Yeah. I think that what I really like about like this character that I'm playing right now is like usually I like playing like characters that are like a little like sneakier, a little more like assassin types. Like, oh, how can I how can I twist the situation to profit the most? But this one, it's like he's actually thinking about like the other characters more so than he's thinking about himself in any given moment.
Yeah.
And he's like always constantly thinking about like, how can I use my own talents to help this other party member deal with, the puzzle, deal with the monster, deal with like their random half-crazed brother that we found in a ghost ship.
I still don't. That was bananas.
Yeah, I didn't have a good answer for that one. that was like pat friend.
Family's hard. Family's hard. I feel like we have a lot of family's hard backstories because it's D&D. Let's be real. There's a certain amount of I'm an orphan and or my parent is evil. So Stong is a half-orc and he's orcish on his mother's side, right? Mm-hmm. And we met Stong's mother. Like, can you tell us a little bit about the sort of the lore here? Because we got people who love the realms. So you made up a clan for him and you put them somewhere, right?
Yep.
Let's hear it.
So they are a mountain orc tribe called the Murder Bear tribe. I just came up with that term. I don't think there's any such thing as murder bears. Like, I'm no expert in the realms.
We had a like sort of a kind of an in-between thing where we went to the Murder Bear tribe, right? And it was a catoblepus, I think.
Yeah.
Was what the Murder Bear was.
Well, that's what it ended up being. But like, the tribe calls that or thinks of that.
Which I think is, I like that sort of thing because that, like the realms is such a huge world, right? And so the idea that there's like a static consistency is a little, it's boring. It doesn't have to be like that. You can have things where like, you call the god this here and that here. We call it a murder bear here, but we call it a catoblepus over here. Yeah. That's fine, and it's even better.
Yeah, I think actually like one of the things I like the most about the orcs, and the reason why I like play them as much as I can, is because like the orcs are like one of the most populous player character races, but yet technically they're like aliens to the realm. Like all of them come from another plane. And that to me has always like been really fascinating. Like, what is that plane like? Where do they come from? I couldn't find like too many details on it. So if you know something, like I'd love to hear it.
Orcs are definitely a place where I have kind of a blind spot.
Yeah.
From my points in Dragonborn when it came to the big uglies.
Yeah, that's what it sort of seems like, like we have an idea of the orc pantheon, and we have an idea of like that there's different kinds of orcs from this plane, like, oh, there's like, the feral orcs, and there's like the gray orcs, etc. And there's like orcs of different intelligence levels, but there's I couldn't find anything that like described even like the name of this homeworld. So to me, like having that big question mark behind like one of the most populous like player character races is fascinating. And like that's something that I would definitely like love to explore. Hint, hint, Eric.
Go to the Forgotten Realm plane of the works.
Yeah, or at least learn more about it. I don't know if I want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell me.
That's how we end up there. I think because those things that are very deep lore, and right now they're on Forgotten Realms Archives, they're doing some of those deep things that are sort of like ancient history that a lot of it doesn't get sort of dug out because it's out of the main timeline and there's a strong focus on it. But the fun thing is that means that you have lots of room to kind of build stuff and create stuff, and maybe we can add that to our game.
Yeah.
Along with the Murder Bear tribe.
Yeah, that's right. Like maybe the Murder Bear is like an actual creature in this orc homeworld, and they're just like somehow getting like this essence of Murder Bear. Like
I think how you keep calling it their homeworld, like they came on a spaceship.
I think about them as aliens, honestly.
It's not. That's the thing. It's not a completely inaccurate way to think of it, right? Because beings from another plane are shaped by entirely different forces, right? And while like the orcs of the realms have been here for so long, right? There is as much as I'm like, oh, it's not static. There is a certain amount of like evolutionary staticness that we just say, okay, because that's what we do in fantasy sometimes. So they are in a lot of ways. I don't know what, but when you say homeworld, I keep thinking like a spaceship came and dropped them off. You could keep saying homeworld, and I'm still gonna giggle about it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I just keep trying to bring it back to science fiction because I love science fiction. Fantasy. So sorry, but just drop in Spelljammers in there, you know.
So speaking of things from other planes, so Stong is a half-orc bard, which I love your description of him, whose greatest strength is his strength.
Yes.
Because he's not terribly charismatic.
You know,
but
I take that personally. You know,
based on the number on the sheet, which is 8, he's not terribly charismatic. But I think Stong is charming. So, plus he has Cecilia to be his manager, so you don't have to be charming.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I'll go set your prices. It's fine.
She's just trying to earn her 20% right now, basically. Justify her percentage. Wait,
yeah,
didn't
20.
I mention it was 20?
It's definitely 20. What's your int
I meant
again?
10.
What's your int? Oh, no.
Darn it!
Cecilia, I don't think Cecilia would be too mean about it. She might just see if she could, but she wouldn't do it to be mean.
He'd be very generous to you because you're best friends. You're best friends.
So it's okay with your best friend.
Yeah, like Star is 20 and she earns 80. Basically.
I feel like Cecilia would probably take more of a cut to see if he noticed, and then maybe buy something nice with it for him. So because she'd see if she could, because that's how she gets a thrill, I guess, lying to people.
You know who else did that? The evil energy conglomerate CEOs. So maybe you missed your career calling.
Oh my God, that's so much work. Cecilia would never do that.
Just saying. You take the 80 and you're like, I'm just keeping it for you. I'm buying you stuff you need.
No. 80 is too obvious. There's no fun in that. It'd be like,
okay,
30, 31.
Okay.
That's a math error.
Mm-hmm.
And then look, I brought you this lovely, delicious pasties or something.
Pasties?
Like little Cornish pasties.
Oh, okay. Sorry, something else came to mind. But
it's for your new app.
Like, I brought you some edible pasties. Like, you need to earn more money so that my 20% is worth more. Here.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
See what kind of manager
you can't make jokes like that. Eric is right there.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Anyways.
Okay, so I was saying, speaking of other plays, the other thing about Stong that some people noticed from the art by Anna Fott that we posted, that Stong has a daughter,
aka Baby Yoda. Apparently.
That's
fine.
Mirabelle.
I accept it. Yep. Yeah. It's my adopted daughter Mirabelle. I mean, Stong's adopted daughter Mirabelle.
You have to be careful because it's like, especially I feel like there's a fun and fuzzy line here where you're playing a character and they're not like you in some ways, and like Cecilia's kind of mean, which doesn't mean I'm never mean, but she's really mean. And she's just afraid.
We're all secretly like a little afraid of her. We're all like every time a situation comes, we're like, ooh, what's Cecilia going to do?
She's mean, but she's wounded.
Okay. She's an edgelord.
Oh, yeah. They were describing Brenzy as an edgelord, and I was like, I think that was just the mini, but maybe Cecilia's a little more. Anyway, and you're not Stong, because
Yeah, I'm definitely not Stong. Just to clarify, viewers.
You have
I'm Yang-Yang.
Yang-Yang does not have an adopted daughter who probably came from the abyss, but
I have no children, as far as I know.
As far as you know. Stong has a daughter, Mirabelle, and that is interesting because you didn't come up with that for your character. That got thrown at you in our sort of zero session.
Yep.
You played a game of Fiasco. Things went very wrong, and we sort of had the opportunity to sort of keep or pitch bits, I think.
Yeah.
And you kept her.
Yeah, I actually went to that session with only the notion that I would be a half-orc bard, and everything else, including Stong's name, came out of that session.
Nice.
So the idea of so in the moment of that session, so there was a flaming portal. Stong enters the room, and at that moment he sees he hears some wailing. and he sees this like little childlike form beyond the portal. So of course he's going to try to save it. And so after like pulling her out, it sort of like it burned his hands and cost him the use of like, his fine motor control. But in return, he, saw her and fell in love with her and decided to raise her until the time that her rightful parents, can be discovered and she can be returned to them. But in the meantime, he's going to try to be the best foster dad possible. Like a hippie foster dad, to be honest. like she knows what's good for her. Yeah. She can tell me. She knows when her bedtime is.
She knows a lot of places that I, as a parent, would not be taking my child.
Yeah, I think, I think there is.
She comes out okay.
Yeah, there is an inherent danger in like bringing even a fake fantasy child into like these perilous Dungeons and Dragons situations.
Except she's also like a demon. We don't know all her abilities.
Right. I was just gonna say.
Maybe the danger is really to the people in the place we're bringing her.
That could be that could very well be true. Like
sneak her into a bar and then she sets it on fire.
Yes.
Know.
Yeah.
She hasn't done that yet. To be fair, she's very sweet.
Yeah.
Cecilia gave her a shiv for kindergarten, so.
Yeah, I definitely imagine there's a bunch of like stuff in our house that she's like accidentally set on fire, like because kids are destructive by nature.
Yeah. That is a fact.
Yeah, but yeah, I discussed with Eric, and I didn't want it to be like a children in peril thing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give her like some intelligence or some sort of hint of like ability beyond like her years. So even though her physical form is like a child and she like exhibits like very like childlike things, like there's something going on there. Mm-hmm. And she can solve perilous situations on her own even without Stall.
Yeah.
So like he's not, by bringing her, like he's kind of bringing like just another individual. He's not like, she's not relying on him.
Right. And you do have like other adults that watch Mirabelle within the game, so she's not always with us.
Plenty of babysitters.
Sometimes she goes and learns from Mirren Dark Dance. For those of you who have read up on Eric's books, Mirren teaches small children magic, which is adorable.
Yep, my baby's learning magic from Mirren Dark Dance.
For better or worse.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, here's a fun question. What is your favorite memory of the game so far?
Oh, there's a lot of great moments. But I think my favorite moment is from Steven's character Sturge. Like, there was one time, and maybe you can help me like fill in some of the details, but at the end of an adventure, Steven kind of tells us that his character is like got some obsession with magic, and he really is like drawn to magic items, and he wants to like, be near them. So, we're all like, okay. And at the end of it,
tune, we get it.
Yeah. And so we get to the end of this adventure, and somebody's got like this really potent magic item, and suddenly like Sturge, his character, in the game, he's like, say.
Speaking of important lines to drop between people and their characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But as Sturge, he's like, say, can I borrow that magic item? I'd like to sleep with it. And everybody's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I just want to sleep with it. I mean, I'd let you sleep with my magic items. And he offers us, like, whoever wants it, he offers his wand for anybody to sleep with. Like it's a desirable thing. And like, I think a moment later he realizes his mistake, because he's like, oh crap. He has an oh crap moment, and then he starts like laughing at himself. But like, that's like my most treasured moment, because Steven was so in character, and he was so into sleeping with magic items that like he had no concept of how weird this sounded to the rest of us.
I see a question that's popped up here.
Oh.
Oh, I see. Eric is doing an excellent job of texting me questions. I just didn't turn my ringer off, so it wouldn't be annoying. Okay. As an actor, do you apply the principle of yes and to your role playing, and has that ever backfired?
Oh, well, I'm glad whoever asked that brought that up, because that's basically everything to do with the character's name, me becoming a foster dad instead of the best musician in the land, and entering into this cursed fate with Adrian, who was another player character like this other member of our group who could no longer make the sessions. But yeah, like that was just me saying yes to everything. That's basically like what I try to do, is I just try to roll with everything and just like incorporate it.
Yeah.
Because Stong's original storyline was that he like found this piece of orcish music and he was going to go around and like share orcish song and culture with everybody. And then suddenly, because of this whole like, child thing, it's like, oh, I can't ignore this.
Mhm.
So, part of the whole burned hands and loss of dexterity is like now, even though he can't really like play the music that he wants to, he's instead like teaching the other kids of the neighborhood and like teaching Mirabelle, these songs, so that it's passing on in a different way.
He burned his hands grabbing Mirabelle out of the abyss, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's very poignant.
Yeah. But he's like such a positive character. He like, never really talks about it. Like in my head, I got like, I did like this whole like situation where she's like, oh, Mirabelle's like, oh, what happened to your hands, Daddy? He's like, oh, I baked a cake. Like,
plausible.
Daddy's clumsy.
So that's something I wrote down. You have an interesting dichotomy here that like Stong has this very like positive, happy-go-lucky kind of nature. Like whenever we meet some enemy, he wants to make friends with it first, right? Like first let's see.
Yep. Can we befriend it?
Can you befriend it?
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem like a lot of bad things happen to Stong. And is that kind of a balance you're aiming for?
Oh, totally, yeah. I think that so there's a couple of themes I want to explore with this character, and I'm not sure how much I want to like show versus reveal over the stream.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the major themes is like, Faerun is actually like a very dangerous place.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of these cities that are just constantly in conflict. There's like mass conspiracies,
magical
creatures,
super predators everywhere.
It's no place for a friendly orc. Friendly half-orc. But I think that despite that, I think what I'm trying to explore is like, how can like a totally positive character get through this world and like retain their positivity? Like, I want to explore like resilience, I guess. Because like Stong's upbringing, like in a half-orc tribe, so his tribe is mostly full orc. He's the only half-orc in his tribe, and as such, he's like subjected to even harsher training and even harsher conditions by the tribe in order to make up for his like weakness. So despite all that, like his positivity, it's almost like a coping mechanism for him.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to get like real deep in the character's head.
That's what this is for, I figure.
Well, great. I feel like you should put a psychiatrist
Tell us
chair
about
here and like,
Stong's childhood.
Yeah, so my parents, they were deadbeats.
We don't know Stong's dad, do we?
Not yet.
Not yet. Everybody has. Yes, I love. I don't know. I love playing with that sort of family of origin stuff. It's ripe.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm really lucky, my dad is like some spelljammer, crazy cool pirate. I mean, Stong's dad, not Yang-Yang's dad. Stong's dad is a crazy cool like spelljammer pirate. And he's gonna come pick him up like Guardians of the Galaxy style,
Nice. Is that what Stong hopes is true?
That's what Yang-Yang hopes is true.
I was gonna say, is that what Stong writes in his diary at night?
Hope my dad's a pirate from space. Hope he picks me up.
I would be surprised if Stong knew about spelljamming pirates.
I don't think he does. Yang-Yang does though.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm like a total fan of like the plane jumping variant of D&D. So like the city of Sigil and all that.
Yeah,
it's my jam.
Some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and somebody mentioned orc music being drum heavy.
Oh.
Which is good because that's mostly what Stong plays. But Stong was trained in a lot of other music, or just the lute.
Yeah. So this is another example of yes and. Like in the player's handbook, depending on your background, they tell you that you're an expert in like X number of instruments, in which my case is 3. So I chose the drums, the lute, and like the weirdest one that I could find. I can't remember the name of it. I have to like, I don't even know if I know what it is, but I'm committed to it. So
let's make one up.
Oh, actually, I'd like that.
Hurdy-gurdy.
Oh. This is my manager, folks. Hire me for my hurdy-gurdy show.
No, what's a thing? Even a theremin.
Oh, theremin. Yeah.
I can see. You don't need dexterity to play a theremin, right? You just move your hands in and out. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I guess for the well. Anyways,
I have absolutely no idea how you play the theremin in the fine details. I know you do. It looks like this.
Wait, what does it look like again? I missed it. Yeah, so I think, even though it is like a lot of drum music, it might be heavier, he'll play like variations of it using different instruments.
No, I want it to be like a bassoon. Something that's like orchestral but not common.
Yes, manager. Whatever you want, manager. I'll play the show.
Your strength,
you get your cut.
His strength check would mean that you could play something that requires a lot of like lung capacity.
Ooh,
one of those giant saxophones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I should find like the toughest instrument to play, like physically, and just master that.
A tuba.
Yeah.
A sousaphone.
Yeah. Or maybe it'd be like a taiko drum, but instead of like the things, he just punches it with his fist.
Did I tell you? My sister gave me taiko drum workshop lessons.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to be so hard.
Yeah, I think you'll have a good time.
I think I'll have an amazing time, and then I think I'll sleep forever and be so sore the next day. That's what I bet happens. Okay, so I have been asking everybody 2 sets of questions. So we'll do those, and then we'll see if there are any other questions.
All right.
So the first one is, everybody has been made to play a round of Merry Date Dump with the people in the party. So you may know this game under another name, but this stream is...
What about just hook up?
No, that's not how the game works.
Okay. Whatever.
You may know this game under another name, but it involves an F-bomb, and they don't like those on this stream. On this
don't
thing. Maybe in their private lives, but... So, okay. So, Stong, who would Stong choose to marry? If you have to, you have to pick somebody.
Huh.
The wacky backstory of this is that this was when I worked at Wizards of the Coast. We had a game going, and the DM interviewed each of us because we were also starting a blog for the fiction department. And he asked us all this question, and we had there were 3 ladies in the game who had, and all the characters ended up being straight as far as I know, and then 3 dudes, and all the ladies knew how to play this game, and then all the dudes did not.
Oh, really?
One guy just picked date everybody. One guy said his character, his drow rogue, did not like to mix business and pleasure.
I guess I just fell in that category because I said hook up. I didn't even listen. I didn't even want to know who.
You know the rules though, and in whatever you can. When Rhiannon played this, she picked her date was a male caliph for Artemisia. So everybody's been flexible about it. You can pick what you want.
I think Stong would marry Artemisia because she seems like the most like responsible one. But she has her own business, and they have like a secret arena duo. So that's also like another form of business.
You have an established connection.
Yeah.
You could probably trust her with.
Yeah. She does her own thing. Like
she knows how to like. I think of everybody in the group, she's probably the only one who really knows how to do laundry. I'm just gonna say, if you want a partner, household partner who can take up half the slack.
Yeah. But I don't think of Stone as really like the marrying type. That's why that question took me aback because I don't think he actually like thinks about that for the most part. Like he thinks about having a good time, getting to know people, but he's not really into like marriage. Like he definitely, goes to the bars and drops a bunch of charisma checks for better or worse.
Oh no!
But
this is what you need Cecilia for. She's
that's
a
right.
Woman.
So what's the next one? Is
that date?
Date,
which is the one that we can't say on the stream usually.
Date.
That's hookup.
Oh, okay, that's
not like get in a relationship with, but go on a date with, and whatever.
I guess maybe female Rogar because Rogar is a trained, religious figure, trained expert in the ways of love.
You might have some tricks for some.
Yep. And then what's the last one? Dump. Which
is more of a like no. That's when you would usually say kill, but it's kind of too mean.
I don't know if you would
kill a party.
Anybody.
Who would you let down gently if they asked? There you go. Who would Stong let down gently? Because this is true. I don't think Stong would be mean.
Yeah, and I'm not sure he would actually like. Okay, let me think about this. The only characters that he dislikes so far, or he's like suspicious of, is this NPC necromancer who keeps like busting out dead bodies from a bag, and Stong is like,
Kayla's boyfriend, not boyfriend.
yeah, like whose bodies are those? Did they okay this? Like, did they donate their bodies to you to like become zombies? Because if that's so, that's cool. Like no problem. But if they did not, then you, sir, are not
That's
nice.
right. I remember we had a session where we went on quite a while where you're trying to get Aiden the necromancer to explain the provenance of his bodies. Because if the people consented, then that's fine. But if they did not, that was not fine.
Yeah.
And you were going to pound him.
All he had to do.
And not in the date way.
Oh, that's accurate.
I will stretch it so you can stretch the rules so that Stong can dump necromancer Aiden.
Yeah.
Because Kayla's not going to.
Yeah.
Kayla keeps pretending they're not dating.
Yeah. I mean, I guess technically I could dump Caleb. I could dump him through dumping Caleb, and I could just pass on those feelings.
This is a transitive dump, Caleb.
Yeah. So message spell, Caleb. Yeah. Pass this along.
Oh, let me see if there's. Okay, cool. Aiden, gentleman necromancer.
Oh, Aiden. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Aiden, whose name we keep forgetting. We had a tech rehearsal test at tech rehearsal at Chaldea Studios where we would be performing, and we sort of just did little practice things where we could role play, and Stong had a holiday party, a midwinter party. And Cecilia ate bad cookie dough and barked on Aiden, and it was great. I was tempted to say that should stay canon because why not?
Oh, it is. Anything bad?
Everyone will always know. I threw up on Aiden once.
Yeah, anything bad that happens to that guy until he explains himself.
Until he tells us where he's getting the bodies.
Yeah, it's canon for sure.
All right. Okay, so then the next thing, you go through the party, and you tell me which person in the party that is a Stong is most likely to do these things. Okay? So who is most likely to smash a lute on stage?
Oh, these are tough questions. These are like the real like hard-hitting questions. Like, I plead the fifth. I don't want to answer. No, let me think about this. Smash a lute on stage. I mean, I guess if there were like a magic item inside, I could see stirred. But honestly, I feel like Strong would be the one who would be most likely like smashing instruments on stage.
I picked some things that were sort of Stongish, so then it was like, who would Stong think was the most likely to do the thing he might do?
Smashy. Ooh, maybe Cecilia would actually.
I could see that.
Yeah.
It would be really satisfying.
Yeah, I think Cecilia.
Think about consequences later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who is most likely to write a moving ballad?
Oh. Probably. It's a toss-up between Sturge and Rogar, but like I feel like it's like one of two different ways.
Yeah.
But I'll go with Rogar.
I can see that. He has many dips. Okay.
I think Sturge would write something that's like real lewd, He has like an erotic puppet show. Like, speaking of yes and, it's like, oh, you do erotic puppet theater? Okay, I will play background music for you. Why not? I got your back. Stong's got your back, bro.
Oh. Here, wait, I have that. Sorry, I'm writing down some most likely twos because we're winging this one because we can be chatty and it's good. And man, Christmas is a lot of stuff. So
yeah, the holidays are rough.
Who is the most likely to be allowed to babysit?
Oh, Artemisia. Easy.
Yeah.
Or Cecilia. Cecilia or Artemisia.
You pick her up and Cecilia's like, I let her play with Artemisia's lipstick.
Yeah.
She'll come on, I bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Auntie Cece.
I think Cecilia likes Mirabelle because it's fun when kids like you. Like, I think it's really kind of a nice feeling when kids think you're interesting and cool.
Yeah.
And I think Cecilia is so so convinced that people don't like her that she dislikes them first. But Mirabelle is just, she's a kid.
Yeah.
She's very genuine, even if she's also a demon.
I think that she like looks up to you and your how do I want to say this? Your forward ways. Like she just enjoys watching you in action, and she's like role model.
Cautionary tale, Auntie. Practice. Okay, who is?
And she's the real mother here. So
yeah, I'm the one that actually has kids.
Yeah.
He has kids too, but he's not mom, he's dad. So. Okay, who is the most likely? This one is not actually for song; it's for game. Who would you? But you can't pick song still.
Okay.
Who is most likely to be your fantasy football pick?
Oh, whoa. Who would be a good fantasy football player? There's like 2 members of our party, one with 6 strength, and the other one with 8 strength. So they're out.
Caleb can theoretically fly though.
Can she? Because I have not seen
theoretically.
It. I mean, she could be the football because she's so light and she has wings, so people could like throw her real far with this on. Okay, but I don't know. Like maybe like Sturge actually. Like he's the master of disengage, run away. That is the Sturge special. So I think that'd be real good for football.
That would be pretty handy.
Great running back, terrific wide receiver.
Like where'd he go? And then he has the ball.
Yeah, then he's got the ball. You know, play action.
The what do you call it when you have to show up? Like show up because you're gonna do a show. It's not curtain call when it's when it's video.
Rehearsal? What do you mean?
No, like you're like for this, right? You came early for this. What is the time you're supposed to show up?
Early. Oh. Is this some sort of
No, I'm just right. I was gonna write. Who's most likely to be late to that thing where you're supposed to show up because you're gonna get recorded being an actor? I don't know what that thing's called.
Oh well, I mean, if all actors know this word, I'm a failure as an actor.
There's no word for it.
Yeah.
Who's most likely to show up?
There's probably a word. It's just like not popping into my head. But okay, who's most likely to show up late?
To the camera.
Caleb.
Yeah.
Sorry, just throwing you out there.
No,
throw you like a football, like a winged football, just out there to the wolves.
Okay. So who is the most likely to do something Stong won't perform background music for? I just thought of that.
I mean, I mean, if he's gonna do background music for an erotic puppet show, then his bar's real low. Sorry, Steven. I guess, I feel like Caleb has been flirting with the dark arts, and depending on if she invited him to play background music for like some sort of like necrotic ritual to enslave a whole graveyard full of souls, he would probably say no to that. He wouldn't be into that.
That would be a no.
Yeah. Just a quick side note. He actually just played an all-elven teenager pirate music fest called Pegfest. So he will say yes to any job.
Pretty much. Rhiannon texted that is called call time.
Oh, call time. You're right.
Call
time.
Call time.
Wait, but call time is like basically when you're supposed to show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's gonna be late.
Ooh, I see money time. I like money time. Little Johnny Manziel for you.
Okay, so we have.
Nobody likes Johnny Manziel.
I don't even know who that is. I'm sorry.
Don't waste your brain cells.
Okay, so we have like another 10 minutes.
Okay.
We can see if people have questions. We can talk about other things about the game, about what other things you are working on.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, doke.
What's your favorite monster from D&D?
Favorite monster from D&D? Non-devil monster or like any of them?
That's up to you. You can answer however you want,
So there's this devil that I really like because it's kind of bonkers. It's called a Pelarian, which is just like, it's enormously huge, right? And then it has this like big razor's mouth, and then it wears makeup.
Oh, what?
Right? And it's one of those things where you look at it and you kind of go, there's something kind of insulting about this. Like
oh yeah, this beats us. we are
well,
insulted.
well, I mean, like, and
into-
someone being like, what if there was a devil and was hugely fat and it thought it was pretty, kind of thing.
I see what you mean by insulting.
But what I wrote a Polarian called Shatai into my books because I thought there's something the twist on that is like they're like these spy masters basically. Like they're really sneaky and powerful in that way. They're also gigantic, right? They're like monsters.
Okay.
But there's something about something very alien, kind of aping humanity in that sort of like wearing makeup in a way that I thought was interesting to kind of play with instead of going this sort of straight narrow route of like it's big. And I don't know, I find they have these tiny little bat wings. I don't know, they're weird and fun.
I watched some anime, and this is reminding me of like a demon from like Seven Deadly Sins, or maybe like that Alchemist one. Anyways, so what alignment is this demon?
They're all it's a devil. Sorry,
devil.
They're all lawful evil.
All lawful evil. Oh, okay. I feel like your knowledge of devils and demons is like incredibly impressive.
There's a reason.
I mean, yeah, I think we all know the reason.
That would be kind of funny if you're like, why? I'm like, oh, why did you think I was here? It's like I did one thing. I think I like about devils is that I think, well, and the devil demon thing too, right? Because like, okay, they're all evil, and there's something interesting in that these are chaotic and these are lawful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's something interesting about when does lawful override evil? Like, for example, when we had our little gap and I played Remzi, I had a Hellhound mix, Lucy, Alucer the Steel Regent, who would buy Lucy, or Lucy, no, Lucy, stop. And so the idea of like these hellhounds, right? It is more important if you have these hellhounds, because these are Nessian warhounds, which are the cavalry of, Nessia, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so they're like hellish cavalry. So these dogs the size of draft horses.
Wow.
It is more important that thing is lawful, that it's going to always obey orders, than it is that it's evil. And so there's, different write-ups of the hellhound put different weight on it. So there's descriptions where it's like, oh, hellhounds will like, hunt things until they forever, and then they'll murder them. And it's like, okay, but like, it's more important that this dog will do what you tell it to do.
Yeah.
And so if you get a hellhound and it sort of imprints on you, then that's going to override the evil. You still got to give orders carefully, and you better exercise that thing. Because if it ever stops being well trained, you're in for a lot of pain.
Ooh,
however, I think that's an interesting piece, because I think it's very easy to go like, well, these things are meant to be enemies and they're evil, so let's make them as bad as possible. But there's, what does that look like, gets sort of more, a little more fuzzy, right? It doesn't mean the hellhound's good, right? Because if you tell, I have a very sweet hellhound in my books. Someone who sort of takes her over says, eat that guy's hands. She eats the guy's hands. She never stops and goes, wait a second. Should I be eating someone's hands? Is that a good idea? She's like, gave order, did order. Yes.
But does the hellhound like does it think about like the bounds of the laws that it's like?
I don't think it should, to be honest.
I guess that's like, that's antithesis of lawful. I'm just like too chaotic by nature, I guess. I'm always thinking about that. Like, oh, how can I push these boundaries just a little bit?
This is also the thing, right? Because like devils are lawful evil, right? But I think that having that as a boundary means that in order to achieve, they have a greater goal, right? They're not like, they're not all like, what's in front of me kind of lawful evil. And so then you kind of end up, biting the snake's tail. And so then you're like, how do I bend these rules? Because I cannot break the rules, because that is the sort of the edict of the devilkin, right? I cannot, like, if I make a pact, the pact has to hold. If I make an oath, the oath has to hold, or I will be unmade. However, if I don't want to hold that, I got to find a way around it, which is like the contracts thing, right? So it's interesting to me, because I think that there is a certain amount of, if once you say these are all important, and yet here's our greater, bigger thing, then you have to find ways to make the greater, bigger thing happen in spite of these sometimes. I don't think about demons as much because I don't find them as interesting. I only have one book with demons.
So boring.
No, I guess I had 2 books with demons, but in one of them they were just kind of like, oh no, they're coming. Don't let them get you.
Yeah, I guess I just asked you because, like, in general, that's like one of the biggest aspects of Dungeons and Dragons that I love. Is like I find that there's like 2 IPs. I watch a lot of stuff and play a lot of games, and there's 2 IPs that I feel like really influence like almost all other like fantasy besides Tolkien. But that is Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer. I see it in like almost everything. They basically defined, like, for me, like what a lot of stuff that you see in like Warcraft, etc. So when I was younger, like I would actually I got into D&D by actually like just buying the Monsters Compendium and just like reading that.
Yeah.
Or like buying like these little box of cards that had like individual monsters or like random encounters, and I wouldn't really even like play the game. I would be playing the game my way, like little 11-year-old Yang-Yang, by like pulling up these random encounter cards, reading them, reading the choices and the results, and then like rolling a dice and just seeing like what happened to me.
I love that.
But yeah, I learned about so many like interesting monsters, that way, that I'd never heard of from any other mythology, like Greek mythology, Norse mythology, etc. So like including that demon that devil that you mentioned. There's just like so much to learn.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about it is like all the different cultures, like Chult, Chult's got like its whole like dinosaur rider thing.
In the holiday party. So I convinced Aiden to go to Chult.
Oh, right.
Caliph, because he thought she was tough. Eric popped up with another question. Although I want to know, do you have a favorite monster?
I have a lot of favorite monsters. I would say that.
One? Is that possible?
It's hard. I love like a lot of those like lore videos like on YouTube. When one of my favorite like monster lore videos is about mimics, because there's like so much more to them, and they like some writer or like game designer put so much thought into like the biology of the mimic and like how and like their product is like so disgusting but yet so beautiful. And it makes so much sense like when you read it. So
that is my favorite thing like about working in this, is that you get stuff that's like someone said this is a cool idea and you're like, yeah, but how does that work and why does that work? And there's usually enough space that you can go, okay, so here's what happened. Here's why mimics can reproduce. Or whatever.
How they reproduce.
Like, you want to nerd out and like really care about something? Well, there's so many little spots to do that.
Yeah.
Randy's making a bunch of dwarven anthologies.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you're gonna create the orcish home plane.
Maybe. I mean, I would love to play around with more like orcs and stuff, but like like the mimics, it's like I always imagined it was like treasure chests popping out smaller treasure chests, but that's not true at all. They're actually like these amorphous blobs apparently, and they like the way that they change the texture of their camouflage is like apparently like physical. It's not magical at all, which led me down this separate rabbit hole of like creatures in the realm that can use magic versus not to power their abilities, and then creatures that can invoke magic without saying words.
Oh,
which is like this this whole like superpower basically, like super duper power in the realms.
So here is the question: if you had one piece of advice for a DM and one piece of advice for a player, what would they be?
One piece of advice for a DM. Don't be afraid to punish your players. I think, I think that like a lot of campaigns that I've played, the DM will just kind of like cater to the players and, like don't really let them fail, or there's no like true consequences. And the party ends up inevitably being like murder hobos. I think,
that's not exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like a living, breathing world, and there should be like true consequences for your actions. And a bad dice roll is a bad dice roll.
Yeah.
Like, you get a good dice roll, you get a critical, you kill the villain, like one hit, terrific, bravo for you. You critically miss, you kill yourself, like that's what happens. Like the bards will be singing of the folly of
I would be so disappointed if I did. I'm like, no, I put a lot of work into making this character arc. If I'm gonna die, it's gonna be better than this.
Yeah, but I think that there's a way that you could like honor that death or like live in that moment.
That's true. You just it's a yes and thing, right? Like, okay, if that's what we're gonna do, then
yeah. Like if you are going to make critical strikes stick, then critical misses, whatever, death saves, like it happens.
Yeah.
The other thing, but don't be cheap. Total party kills, nobody likes that.
Eric. No more gelatinous cubes.
Yeah. The one for players, I guess besides the yes and thing, is please come to the table knowing the mechanics. I feel like you don't have to know everything, and you don't have to be the best like tactician, but at least like kind of know like your options and how to like generally do it. You don't have to memorize every spell, but please at least like know your spells so that when it comes to your turn in the table, you're not like flipping through like 20 pages or something. And I'm not talking about anybody in specifically or
I don't know.
moment,
I'm feeling called out right now.
Good. Message received. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I have a friend who runs D&D games for kids a lot, and she was saying, because I ran a D&D game for my son and his friends, which I would say for that, my advice is bake in some run around breaks. Come up with some puzzles that mean go out in the yard and run in circles, because oh my god, all those 8-year-olds cannot sit still. But what she said was she has the kids like spells and attacks printed on cards so that you have it in front of you and then you can flip it over, which the D&D makes those makes decks with the spell cards. Right. But she has them even more simplified, which I think is really kind of handy, because then you can have the more complex stuff somewhere else, and then have the easy like, oh yeah, that's right, reminder.
Yeah. I guess like what I was thinking of was like at one point we had a fighter who years ago I played with a group, and we had a fighter who wanted to grapple.
Oh god, don't ever grapple, just don't.
Right. Basically it like provoked like attacks of opportunity. There was like this whole talk about like pushing in space and that provoking attacks of opportunity, and it got to like this whole like mechanics argument, and that's really what I mean to avoid. Like just try to know what in general, like what you can and can't do, and then just ask the DM and just abide by whatever they say, for the rest of it.
Make the argument later.
Yeah, no, I just like rules lawyer.
Fair. Okay, you want to check and see if we've got any other ones? It looks like we're through. You have anything else you want to add in? You survived.
Happy holidays, everybody. And, we survived 2019. May 2020 be the best year for all of us yet.
Oh, fingers crossed. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. We will have one more round of this. Emily cannot join us, so you will have to get to know Emily when our stream starts on January 8th. So mark your calendars if you haven't already. That is Dungeon Scrawlers present the Westgate Irregulars on Gen Con TV on Twitch. And I will be joining Eric Scott who will be interviewing me this time next week, I think next Thursday. But I will make it an event, and you can find the event, and it will be much clearer than me going, I don't know, it's the day.
It's going to be great.
It'll definitely be great if anybody's here. We'll see.
A review and tell all.
So, and that also goes for anybody who's asked questions of me that I have skipped over because we were interviewing someone else. Bring those questions. That's a better time for me to take that sort of thing up. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Yang-Yang. Is there anywhere you want to point people for stuff for you? No, just Google and you'll find all kinds of things. Okay, so we'll see you next week, and bye!
Bye. Thanks for watching.
See, and then they can still see